Hello YouTube, it's Pharaoh, and I know a lot of you have been frothing at the teeth for this video to come out. So thank you for patiently waiting, and let's get into it, shall we? Okay, first off, we agreed to meet at a certain time period. I arrived 10 minutes early for our appointment. When the time grew nearer, I called them and asked them, "I'm here, where are you?" And they said they're on their way. So, notwithstanding, they were 14 minutes late. Okay, whatever. Let's get on with it. So two of the original women that gave me the tour before were there, a new girl and a fourth girl that was not, I don't think she was a missionary. She was more of just, also to be there to benefit of the preaching of the book. Anyway, so we get into a room, we sit down in nice comfy chairs, and we get ready to go into it, and I am just excited as all can be because I've just got questions up the yin-yang. And some of you may be wondering, what's all this about? What, I'm wearing a tie. Did they assimilate me? No. The way I see it, I am an atheist. They know I'm an atheist, and therefore I am an ambassador to them. So if I'm going to break down any stereotypes that they have, I have to present myself as an atheist should present themselves to the general public. So being that, I made sure that I was nice and cleanly shaven, and I, comb my hair, and I dress nice. I speak fluently, and I don't use foul language. I'm very pleasant and polite, and I smile, so they don't get the wrong impression of what an atheist is. Okay, so they see me, and I'm being nice as I can, and they roll right into scriptures and faith and belief, and these things are said for these reasons and whatnot, and I came quickly to realize that they were going to dominate the conversation, which, I can't really say no. They're the ones that invited me, so it's, their building and whatnot. So they, for the most part, dominated most of the conversation. Talking a lot about faith and how they live their lives and what things mean to them, and what faith means to me and all that stuff, and I explained everything, that I do things rationally and scientifically and whatnot. What I was hoping was that I would be able to just go touch and go with every single question that I had about their Book of Mormon and get them all answered, but that didn't happen. I've got, I don't know if you can see this too well, okay, I got a whole page of questions and about a half a page of questions, and these are not like questions like, why am I here, what's my purpose? These are contradictions or fallacies or something that I saw in the Book of Mormon specifically that I did not understand. It was in conflict. It was something of that nature. So I had all of this, and that's what I wanted to get to, but they wanted to talk more about faith and believing in Jesus Christ through the Holy Spirit and all that stuff. And they even gave me a new pamphlet. Okay, well, that's the front of it. Okay, but more specifically, they pointed out this is right here is the specific way you're supposed to pray. Okay, so when you pray, you have to do it in this specific order. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So good to know. So they told me that while I'm reading this, okay, that before and after I read, I take the time out of my day to read the passages in it, that I should pray to get a better understanding of it, and somehow I'll be touched by an omnipotent being, and it'll be shown to me that it is the truth and the right way. So, if that's the way things have to be done, that's the way they have to be done. I have no problem doing with that. But I will do them in a scientific manner. So, I'm going to use their method to pray for understanding and knowledge of their book. Now, here's the fun part for you guys. You get to be my control. I need you, down there in my underwear, type up a control for me. I need a God, okay, to pray to, and I need something to pray for that also falls along the lines of knowing the light and the true way and faith of the Mormon book. It doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be the same thing, because that's not what a control is. So come up with my control, please, and come up with an idea, type it down there. Please do that for me. Okay, so the meeting went very well. They were a little drawn back a bit by my questioning attitude, and they like to re-emphasize the whole faith thing. That it's not all about what you can see, taste, hear, and smell, and I re-emphasize that to me it is. And until I get touched by this omnipotent being, I have to determine what they're saying is true by what's in their book. And so far, I have a butt ton of contradictions, which does not bode well for the truth. But who knows? Maybe by the time I get done reading the book, something will happen. We'll see, won't we? So that's the way things went for that. I was also struck back because the other girl that was there that was not a missionary, and she was just there for the experience, she was explaining to me how she was praying for a direction in her life. She had choices to make. She had a choice of either going to graduate school or of getting married. And when she said these things, I immediately thought in my head, why can't you have both? But I didn't say anything because I don't want to upset her or anything. And she ultimately, she prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed on it. And she came to the conclusion that it was the direction of her life that she needed to go was to get married. I'm not going to fault her for that. She has the right to live her life however she wants. If she thinks that getting married is way more important than graduate school, so be it. But I still don't see how she can't get married and go to graduate school. I mean, what's stopping you? Seems kind of funny to me. Maybe next meeting, if she's there, I'll ask her. So, delving into all of that stuff, I did make a disclaimer before I opened my mouth. The first things out of my mouth was, I am not here to be, I'm not here to pick on your book, I'm not here to make fun of you, to mock you, or to be blasphemous. That's not my purpose here. My purpose here is to learn your book, to see if it has any wisdom, truth, or value to it. And they understood that. So, with that being said, I got invited to come back. So on Friday, I will go back again, and I'm going to continue to read their book and continue to add to the list of the monumental stuff that's in here. Just pile it on. More questions. They did, however, photocopy my questions so that they could maybe answer them in between now and the next meeting, and I could get answers to all my stuff. I hope they can read my chicken scratch handwriting. But basically the meeting was over way too quick. Time just flew by and I never got to answer my questions. But I pleaded with them to just answer one question. Can I pick out one that is really important to me and have that explained to me? And they said, sure, why not? So, I picked out my favorite, which is in the Book of Mormon, the first book, chapter 4, verses 10 through 18. There's this guy called Nephi, and God commands him to slay another man, which he ultimately does. And I said, whoa, this is a clear violation of the 6th commandment. How is this okay? And then they pointed to a passage in there, I think it was number 13, where it says God commanded Nephi to kill this man because he was a wicked man. And I said, so does that mean if God commands you to kill, that makes it okay in your eyes? And they said, well, it's kind of, you kind of have to have faith that God is commanding you to do the right things. And I said, well, he came up with this 10 commandments. That's his rules. He said, thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill except when I tell you to do so. It says blatantly, thou shalt not kill, ever. And so they kind of mull over their heads and like, wow, that's a good question and all that kind of stuff. They mulled it over and they kind of talked amongst each other, and then they kind of asked me, well, how do you justify it? And I said, I don't. I don't think it is justifiable to kill anyone for any reason. So, I don't know. They kind of went back to that whole faith thing, and you just have to know that what you're doing is right because you know that it's right. I don't see how that makes sense, but that's how they answered that question. Other questions that I wanted answers that I didn't get answers to was there's a lot of bits and pieces in there where they bring up something that isn't really available in the time period. I'll give you a clear example. In the front of their book, hang on a sec, let me get to it. They have a bunch of artist depictings. Here. This is Jesus, and the people around here, that's the Native Americans, and this is right after he got resurrected. He went over to the Americas and preached the Native Americans at the time. I don't know if you can see it right there in the background, that right there. That's a Mayan pyramid. Okay, I can see it really clearly, but there it is, a Mayan pyramid. How can there be a Mayan period at the beginning of this first century? Mayan pyramids weren't even started to be having construction until 300 AD. That was one of the other questions I wanted to know the answer to. But I'm sure they'll just come up with artist rendition. You know, they're not history scholars, they're artists. Okay. Let's see. Okay, in chapter 16, verse 18, he has a steel, it specifically says steel, bow. He has this bow and it says this bow made out of steel, and it breaks and all this. And I just had to stop and go, okay, this is 600 BC and he has steel? Okay, steel wasn't actually invented until 200 AD, and that was by the Chinese, not by the Israelites. They may have had cast iron, but they did not have steel. So when the book says steel, it's a very specific point that they don't know what they're talking about. And there's more of these contradictions. Let's see, chapter 18, verse 12, they talk about a boat that they have has a compass on it. Compass wasn't invented until 200 AD. So how did they have one in 600 BC? Chapter 18, verse 25, they come to the Promised Land, which is America's, United States. Well, South America, North America, all that put together. Anyways, and they said when they stepped off the boat and they got there were cows and ox and horse. You know, they list these specific animals, which is a problem because those animals are not native to that region. Those animals did not come over to the Americas until the Spanish conquistadors brought them in the 1500s. So how could those animals be there when we know they weren't? It's another really interesting question I want to answer. I had a bunch of questions I wanted to answer. I didn't get any of them answered except for one. Because I got another question. I did have one question. Their whole book is translated from some gold plates of Egyptian that Joseph Smith translated. And I asked if I could see the plates or if they still have the plates, if they still exist, and they said no, because the person that hid the plates took them back from Joseph Smith after he interpreted them. And I was like, oh darn. And even them, they said, wouldn't it be so great if I had those plates to show to you? Wouldn't that just reaffirm what we're saying? And I said, yes, it would. So it's not really a good thing that you don't have the plates anymore. Darn. So, I know it's a long rant. I try to get as much information in as possible. If you guys have other questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section below or personal message me. I don't care. And thanks for watching.